We are back with my Finding Our Children Missing Person segment on Blaq Rose's Garden Community Radio. And tonight we will be telling the story of Cieha Taylor-Overstreet, who was reported missing from Plant City, Florida. I have her sister, Katrina Overstreet, on the phone. Let's clap it up, y'all. Katrina, are you still online?
I am still here. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Thank you so much for your patience, and thank you so much for calling into Blaq Rose's Garden Community Radio to speak on your sister's story. Now, first of all, introduce yourself and tell my audience about your sister.
Well, my name is Katrina Overstreet. I am of the older sisters of Cieha Taylor. Me and Cieha have the same dad. We also share one other sister and two other brothers. Cieha was 28 years old when she came up missing from Plant City. Her mother actually last saw her on February 3rd. February 6th is when the boyfriend said that Cieha dropped him off at a friend's house in Plant City. Approximately 3 hours later, her car was found abandoned, running, with the driver's side door open, her cell phone on the ground, her purse and clothes inside the car.
My God.
Yeah, a passerby actually stopped and thought it was a car, that was having trouble. And when he got out, he found that it was abandoned, so he called the police. Long story short, the police came. They towed her truck off of the railroad tracks and put it on the side of the road, put her cell phone in, locked the door, and left.
Wow.
Yeah, left. Like nothing else. No, running her license plate, no calling family, no area search, no nothing, just left it. 3 days later, her quote-unquote boyfriend's mother found my sister's car on the side of the road, told the boyfriend. Now, the area that the car was located was approximately 3 blocks from where the boyfriend was dropped off at. So, again, I'm going to emphasize 3 days later, the boyfriend's mom sees the car and tells the boyfriend.
Are you serious?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Cieha's mom, of course, reported her missing to Dade City Police because that's where they lived, in Dade City. And once they saw, he called and said, okay, the car is over here. They actually allowed the family, our family, to take Cieha's car home. And, didn't get the car. I think it was like a day or two later. And the car was there. So they processed the car, of course, with it being compromised because, first they moved it, and then the family drives it home, and then craziness. But as of today, what's today, August 30th? We still have no leads and no sign of Cieha anywhere.
Good God.
Yeah. And that's where we are, honestly. There's no answers, no leads, no nothing. Everything's a dead end.
Dealing with this whole situation with missing persons, because I talked to a lot of the families, and you basically experience the same thing where you have minimal to no concern, from law enforcement.
And I don't understand that because when it involves a child, we have every resource possible. Everyone's reaching out. Everyone's like, how can I help? How can I do this? How can I do that? But when it's an adult, and you know their routine and what is odd and what is not odd, you have no resources.
No.
None.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you wholeheartedly for even caring enough to have me on, because it's not easy out here. It's really not. Actually, me and Kaya lost our dad last year.
Wow.
We lost an aunt. We lost an uncle. We lost cousins. In 1 year, we've lost a lot of family members, and now I've lost my sister. You get even with kids, they offer everything. I mean, treatment, psychological, everything. We don't have anything. All we have is no answers and a missing loved one.
Wow.
It's sad.
Knowing that Florida is a haven for sex trafficking, what is your thoughts on your sister maybe being related? Because Case being related to sex trafficking, because I know during the time that she went missing, maybe a little bit before, a little bit after, I really don't have the date, but I know that it was somebody even found into sex trafficking, or it was some type of sex trafficking situation going on during that time.
Actually, when she went missing, there were approximately 7 other girls that were physical characteristics and that were missing. Actually, 2 were found dead. One was behind a house. One was in a Tampa park. I can't. And actually, there's another young lady. I'll be honest with you. I didn't know how prevalent human sex trafficking or human trafficking was. Period.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's $150 billion spent into sex trafficking. Okay, 99 billion of those dollars is comes from commercial sex trafficking. So when I'm saying commercial sex trafficking, I'm talking about those websites that they have, because they also work off of these websites. They also, use social media as a tool, as a form to, traffic these young women out. I have, in my time, last year was a good year for me when it comes to locating children. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It was a very great year for me locating young girls. And like I tell people all the time, they always have a story to tell. I found that, Instagram is a haven when it comes to sex trafficking. A lot of my young, women who I have found, young girls who I have located them right from Instagram. So knowing that, it's such a demand in sex trafficking, it's so many different levels when it comes to missing persons. And I'm the type of person that I research down deep. Like, I dig down deep when it comes to research. I'm talking about from state to state. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm researching not only how many people who are involved in sex trafficking who have been reported, because we have a small number of people who have been reported, sex trafficking cases have been reported, but we have a number that I know that's off the damn map when it comes to people who have not, because people really don't even know how to really put it all together when it comes to sex trafficking. A lot of these young women don't even know that they're being sex trafficked or being recruited to sex trafficking. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot going on, when it comes to it, especially in places like Florida, because we're talking about Miami. Miami is one of the top 10 states, Tampa. Cities when it comes to sex trafficking. They are in the top 10 of this whole thing.
Tampa.
Well, you know that Jeffrey Epstein, that was his hub.
Exactly.
That was his hub.
Now you think about that. Think about Miami and think about Tampa.
Yeah.
It's small compared to Miami. You know what I'm saying? And Tampa's number 7.
Yeah. Number 7. Exactly.
In the whole country.
In the whole country, yeah,
Wow.
because it's top 10. We have top 10.
Mm-hmm.
California is the number 1. Is basically number 1 because right now, at this moment, they have over 2,000 reported cases of sex trafficking in California. Okay, then we talking about places like Atlanta. And we're talking about places like Detroit. And we're talking about places like even here in the DMV area. And we're talking about, New York. And we're talking, these are top 10.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I put a list out on my page a couple of days ago of every state, all 50 states.
Right.
And the numbers of where we are when it comes to reports of sex trafficking. And like I said, a lot of these cases don't go reported. And when and when you're talking about sex trafficking, you're talking about a point where 41% of sex trafficking recruitment is from family members and people close to the family.
Whoa.
Okay. 11% of that is intimate partners. Okay. So sex trafficking recruitment of family members take up damn near almost half.
It sounds like it's more than that, because when you say 41%, that says 41 out of every 100 victims, 41 of them are recruited through the family.
Through the family,
sad.
yeah, that's a sad thing, but that is a fact.
Yeah.
That is something that happens every day. You know what I'm saying when it comes to sex trafficking, and sex trafficking is in a high demand. And when we have these freaky deaky societies that is recruiting these bastards, okay, because that's what they are, to go out on the street and target our young women. See, they already got in their damn minds of what type of woman they want, what they want her to look like, what kind of hair color they want her to have, because they have these politicians, okay, in these deep down hidden societies on islands and shit like that, that's taking our children, you know what I'm saying, that's taking our young beautiful women, and they're taking them off the streets, and they're taking them to these places. In Atlanta, in Georgia, just this week, they had recovered 39 missing children.
Wow.
Okay, 39 missing children in Atlanta, in Georgia, just this week. You know what I'm saying? So when you're talking about the sex trafficking, and you even in places like I said with Florida, now you're in Indianapolis, am I right?
I'm sorry?
You're in Indianapolis now, right?
Indianapolis?
No, I'm in Florida.
You're still in Florida. Okay, when you're talking about that's a sticky situation, and my whole thing is it's like now I'm trying to get people more involved. It is, especially when it comes to law enforcement, because I want them to start listening more to the families, because if we're telling you, most of the time we know our loved ones' routines.
Right.
Okay. I have a 31-year-old son. Okay. I know his routine like the back of my damn hand. Okay. So if something was to come out of pocket with that, I'm going to know automatically, because I know that he knows how paranoid I am. He knows what type of work that I'm doing. I'm advocating for the missing and murdered. So he knows how I am in my mind and how I work. So even if he's going to stop off from work to go to the store, he's going to call me and say, Mom, I'm going to stop at the store. Even if it's at the damn 25-hour store, and that's right down the street. Right. Because he knows that I expect him home at a certain time. This is his routine. Right. This is what we've been dealing with. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes with the way the world is now, we already know. And children aren't the only ones being snatched off the street. No. And I heard our guests talk about the resources not available to the families. We talked about that before.
ladies and gentlemen, that's on the ballot.
Yes.
Healthcare is on the ballot this November.
And not only that, it's plenty of resources that's available when it comes to missing persons for search and rescue and things of that nature. It's just that we, as the families that's going through this, we have to know how to talk to the police. Because if you don't know how to talk to law enforcement and tell them that you know that it's certain resources that's available, that they need to get up off their asses and they need to do whatever it is, because we do have search and rescue. A situation like your sister's is supposed to be handled. They supposed to be looking at that serious, okay?
But let me ask you this. We don't have search and rescue here, do we?
Yeah, we have search and rescue here. And we also have other, because most of the time, search and rescue, see, law enforcement has their own search and rescue.
Yeah, that's what I know. But they have to, I guess it's got to fall into their budget some kind of way. But
they have it. That's why they take that with the Citizens Police Academy, and they take you to them fancy boats and all of that shit. That's part of search and rescue.
Oh no, I don't doubt that, but I did not know we had it here.
We had DC has it. You know what I'm saying? If we have boats here, Maryland State Police, Maryland State Police handles most of Maryland cases when it comes to missing persons, because Maryland is a big state and it's different. Like I said, it's different levels. They take it serious.
Yeah,
okay. They take that very serious, because even with the case of Olga Oro, as a matter of fact, she just went to court. I'm trying to, we're talking about missing persons right now. So we're going to be bouncing all over the place a little bit, but I have been advocating for missing persons. Olga Oro, 32 years old, missing from the 300 block of Massachusetts Avenue. She had been missing ever since the 17th of July. Jewel and I, and also Tiffany, we have actually circulated 5,000 flyers on her behalf. Got the information out there. Also, was, and I'm going to say it because, like I said, this is all part of advocating. When I'm advocating for a person, I'm going out to find out what happened to that person.
Exactly.
I don't give a damn what I have to do. I do a little detective work and everything. I'm all in one, and out there advocating and passing out flyers. I happened to run into her boyfriend, who is now... this was the 22nd. We were out there the 24th. He was locked up and charged with second-degree murder. And this is without a body. He just went to court Thursday. They just went to court. They actually having virtual court for people who don't know. Because a lot of the times, like I said, I like to go to the court cases. I like to follow this whole thing through with the families when it comes to the families. And we wasn't able to go, but yet on the 24th is when Donnell Sterling, 55-year-old Donnell Sterling, was given actually the evidence, that they have against him to reason why he's locked up for second-degree murder.
How are they going to charge us with nobody?
It's this. That's if they have evidence, and I really can't get into it. I know what the evidence is, and I know that they have every reason to charge him with second-degree murder. And I know that if they find the body and they're able to determine the manner of death, he's going to maybe be charged with first-degree murder. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Without a body. We done had that situation with Pamela Butler. Pamela Butler was a young woman who went missing, whose boyfriend was accused of her murder. He actually was arrested for her murder and her disappearance. And even though we still have yet to find a body of Pamela Butler, he is still doing time in jail. Right. Okay. So there are some laws put into place, and that varies by states. You know what I'm saying? If they have even with Kaya's, case, if they have probable evidence to say, and see, then a lot of states, like here in in DC, I know that when it comes to cases, you basically have to say, wait until 8 years. Okay, for a person to be missing 8 years to say whether this is considered a homicide, whether you, even if you know it or not, by law, you just can't say it. Okay,
right?
They might know it in their heads. Right. Okay, they might, but and like Relicious case is concerned, Relicious case, 6 years past. Okay, and we have Relicious cases been in homicide. Okay, for a very long time. A lot of people didn't know that. A lot of people don't understand why, because they haven't found the body. But look at the history when it comes to Washington, D.C. I'm sorry, and I'm going to say it like it is. Y'all don't find no goddamn body. They don't. They don't find nobody. We have Unique Hurst that went missing from Harford Street Southeast back in 2010.
And her children were in that.
And her children, she was on a third floor apartment building. Yeah. She was in the third floor. Had only been in that apartment for 5 weeks. They have not found her yet. And here we are, 2020. 10 years later, they still haven't found her. We have Radisha Rudd, missing 6 years.
Gotcha.
Have not found her. Pamela Butler, I think she went missing, I think it was 2000, maybe anywhere between 2009 and 2011, something like that. She went missing. Still haven't found her body. They basically, by law, have to say, even if they know it, and I'm pretty sure right out the bat, when it comes to Relicious case, people knew what was going on. I had the pleasure of interviewing captain of the dive team. His name is Mr. Gerald Boylan. He was actually hired by advocates from the D.C. area, and I'm talking about Miss Brenda Brown. She hired them and had them to come up and search for Relicious in Aquatic Gardens. Because they believed that they had threw her in that little pond out there. And to interview him and to talk about how that worked, he already knew that it was possibility that there were bodies in the water, because they have to test the fish. And if the fish have lesions on them and things of that nature, that shows that it's cancerous and stuff in the water, and it's bodies in the water. And I'm going to talk about it because, like I said, they actually found a trash bag. A double-tied trash bag with some bricks tied on the end of it. Okay, but whatever was in this trash bag was out of it. Okay?
Right.
Being as though she was 8 years old, if he threw her from off of that little bridge or whatever that thing is.
That's a little bridge,
he wouldn't be able to throw her far, so they had them check, search 20 feet out. You know what I'm saying? So they gave that information to the police, gave that, and they never talked about it. But like I said, shortly after, Relicious case is homicide. Whether people want to understand it or not. We have a lot of stuff going on with it, but it's homicide. 8 years, it's going to come up. And if we haven't found her by then they're going to actually, by law, can say,
so that's the statute of limitations.
Yeah, that's the statute of limitations. When if it's not a natural disaster, a person that's missing during a natural disaster, like when that type of situation happened, then they can automatically say, well, this person is deceased, most likely alive than dead. But if it's like a missing persons case, then in some states, I know here in the DMV area, it's 8 years. I don't know, it varies from state to state. So,
what happened? I want to talk about the search and rescue. Tampa, they did do their own search and rescue. They had cadaver dogs. They said they had hounds. They had helicopters. But we had, that I know of, 2 outside search parties that were willing to come in and help free of charge, pro bono. One of them was Texas EquiSearch, the same people that found
great people,
good soldier that was buried encased in concrete, and they found her. They even asked if they could search.
They found Malaya Davis. They found Cupcake McKinney. EquiSearch was
They're nationwide.
Hillsborough County Sheriff Office said no.
Because they have to, they are the ones that have to actually say that we can do this, but then it's other ways of doing it. You know, like I have talking to, like they had Miss Brown had a woman from Maine come down with a search dog, that cadaver dog that looks for bodies. It's people that you can hire, you know what I'm saying, and go outside of the police. You know, and hire these people yourself. Sometimes they will work pro bono. There's a lot of them that do. You know what I'm saying? Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to work with the search and rescue teams. It's just so much stuff. But I have been working with Mr. Borland from the Golden State Underwater Recovery Search Team in New Jersey. I've been working with them, and I'm trying to come up with a how can I put it? Because of these search and rescue teams are basically volunteers. They're paying for everything. I want to come up with like a system of search. I mean, a system of such where I can call out to these people where they will have funding. You know, so I'm trying to get it funded, but federally funded, government funded, so that I would have that I would actually have, so I can be able to call these people that's out here, because it's so many different search and rescue teams that's equipped to come out. And like I said, they will go to different places if they had the funding, because a lot of these search and rescue teams, they are funded within themselves. They're paying for their own equipment. They're paying for everything, and this is a volunteer.
That's what I was. That's why I was asking you earlier.
Have to
I guess I wasn't clear.
Through the sheriff's office. I mean, even FBI. FBI has not been called in, but now they're airing. I'll say me, Kaya's case, and also another young lady that came up missing 6 weeks before my sister came up missing 7 miles away from where they found my sister's car. They won't even, FBI is not called in.
Well, it's things that we have to do ourselves as the families of our missing loved ones. And that's like I tell a lot of the families, when the FBI is not involved, okay, and they should be involved in certain cases, you have to reach out to the Attorney General's office, the state's attorney's office, your state's attorney's office. And sometimes you have to get these cases on their desk.
On the ballot, folks.
You know what I'm saying? These are the things that's on the ballot. You have to get these things to their attention, and you have to press the issues. It's sad, but when it comes to missing persons, we're like at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to, you know, missing persons and how they are handled. And most of the time, like I said, missing persons is always considered a crime. You know what I'm saying? It's a crime. You know, and most of the time, missing person cases, most of them are easily turned into homicides, and they easily go cold. Because when the leads run out, it's like the police, it's like, okay, forget it. We got to worry about this other missing person cases that then came along. So they didn't put your case. They didn't basically just forgot about it. So it's up to the parents and the families of these missing loved ones to get involved. And we have to make the phone calls. We have to send the emails, and we have to let them know, be their voice. We are the voice of the voiceless.
And what do you do after you've done all that?
You keep on doing it. You keep on doing it. You got to keep on doing it. You have to keep on, because it's one of them situations, and it's you just doing it right now. You're advocating for Kaya's case. It might not, you know, and it's sad that we don't have a whole entourage of us that is involved when it comes to these cases. You know what I'm saying? But I can make phone calls. People that I know, you have to build a team, a support team, that we're going to have to keep on, you know, driving that nail in until we get some results. A closed mouth don't get fed. Sometimes things are never going to happen overnight, sweetheart. They're not. And this is a struggle, just like it's a battle, just like we out here battling for this police brutality, you know, for these senseless murders, everything that we're going through. Missing persons is a battle too, and how it's handled is a battle. We already know that there's a division. We already know that there's issues when it comes to it, how they handle the cases. We already know that Caucasian cases get more attention than Black folks' cases do. We already know it's been proven by the Center for Missing and Exploited Children. It's a fact.
Systemic racism.
But we have to be the ones that keep on. We have to keep on. When me and Miss Angela goes down, we hand deliver letters to all 100 senators.
Yes, we do.
When we go down there, they're looking at us like science projects. You want to know why? Because they don't show up. Black folks don't show up. It's nobody walking them hallways but me and her. And the people that actually work there. The only Black people that we see there is the people that actually work there. People are just not doing it no more. You know what I'm saying? But you have to participate in the process. You have to. We can sit around and we can complain all the time. And we can say this and say that. Go out. Cast our vote. It just does not stop there.
That's it.
Even when it comes to missing persons, all of that is part of politics.
That's it.
How it's handled.
All on the ballot.
Everything. All of that stuff is on the ballot. And if it's not on the ballot, you put it on the goddamn ballot. And if you talk about it enough, it's gonna go on the ballot.
Well, this is what I be trying to tell folks.
You know,
when you check that name, or whether you check it or not, that person winds up in office as your representative. They are accountable to you. Your tax dollars pay their money. And you got to show up on election day, but you got to show up after that too, to let them know what you think, how you feel, where you believe resources should be dispensed in your community, and you got to stay on their back until it's done.
And you have to gather with we have 64,000, over 64,000 missing Black girls and women.
Yes.
That's over 64,000 families, moms, papas, cousins, aunties, uncles, and you need to pull them out.
That's it.
I had to build a network of dedicated advocates. And I'm so far all out. I have dedicated advocates all over the world. I'm not even centered here in the DMV area. Like, I have advocates in Detroit. I have advocates when it comes all the way in the UK, Ireland, Canada, places like that. So if I get a case, because of the simple fact, and because I know that there's many levels to sex trafficking, I know for a fact that your loved one can go missing and can be in a whole nother part of the world in 24 hours.
Exactly.
Yes.
So it's also important to build a dedicated network. You have to rally around the people and gather the people around you. We never have enough advocates. We never have enough advocates. And this is just one of those things that we are really going to have to send. I know it's a lot going on. We're in the midst of a revolution, but part of the change is even with missing persons and how they handle it. You know, so give the information on, if anybody have any information on the whereabouts of Cieha Taylor-Overstreet, who can they contact?
They can call. They can email me at kj33881@icloud.com. They can also inbox me on Facebook. They can call me on my cell phone. I'll give them that number.
Okay.
Or they can call the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office.
Yes, please leave that number.
Okay, if you could, can you please repeat your information?
Yes, ma'am. My email is kj33881 at icloud.com.
Okay.
My phone number is area code 863-632-7013. The Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office is 813-247-8676. Don't know if they'll be of much help, but hey, I'll put it out there.
Okay. And I also will be sharing all of the information on Cieha Taylor-Overstreet on my page, as well as other social media platforms. You know, we're going to spread this story around. You are now plugged into Blaq Rose's Garden Community Radio. Thank you so much for calling in, and send me information, flyers and all of that stuff, and I would get all of that stuff out.
Okay, I got you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with Black Lives Matter segment in the studio with Mr. James Butler. You can put on something else.
Giving you an air hug.
Hey, how you doing?
See you all. I'm well. I always, it feels like I'm at home when I'm here.
Well, you know, this is your home.
Yes, absolutely. The cases that you all do, and with regards to missing persons, that I can only imagine, just extraordinarily emotionally draining. Just listening to that, it almost takes a part of my spirit away.
Yeah.
And I'm not exaggerating by that. It really is a heavy burden for you to carry. And I'm just starting to probably see the depth of that when, I hear these cases more and I see the families and I see the grief that the families send.
Yeah. It's a horrible thing, and like I said, it's one of them things like right now we're in the midst of the revolution. Like I said, this is a part of the revolution for me. You know what I'm saying? This is a part of it for me. Because a lot of people can just sit up and they can come up, and maybe kind of think about what these families are going through. But when you're talking to them on the phone, wee hours of the morning, when you're giving up your time, like I get out of my bed at night, especially when it comes to, like I have family members like Terrence Wood Jr. I talk to Terrence Wood Sr. every day. I'm getting the countdown. Yeah, I'm getting the countdown. My son been missing for 22 months. My son been missing for 23 months.
To go on an academic project somewhere in Idaho or ends up lost.
So that type of stuff right there, it hits next to me because I know I'm not experiencing it myself, but I know that people are experiencing this, and I know what they're going through.
And the reason why he picked you to do it. Sometimes I think about different burdens, but he chooses us all for a reason, Yeah. Even though in the political stuff, I question my mental stability and God's maybe punishment for me to keep.
All of this stuff goes hand in hand.
Yeah,
but it does.
Everything does. I mean,
it does.
It's
really
a fact.
does.
Everything starts at the ballot box. And when you get folks who say, I'm going to step back or I don't care, if you don't care about you, I know you don't care about me. Because everything down to the seal that's on their aspirin in that drugstore, it's a government seal. All something that you look
you might not want the person to be there that's there, but if you don't vote,
yeah,
exactly.
That's it.
You did it.
Somebody else is going to speak.
Y'all ready?
Yeah, always.
Yeah. We are back. Thank y'all all again for tuning into Blaq Rose's Garden Community Radio. Please feel free to make a donation. All donations go to the running of Blaq Rose's Garden Community Radio events, studio time, all of that good stuff. The money is used in a good and positive light. You can make those donations through Cash App at Blaq Rose, and that's the money sign, Blaq Rose, BLAQROSE 2. Okay. Now we're coming into our Stop the Violence segment, our Black Lives Matter segment, our Stop Police Brutality segment, our Black People Deserve Civil Rights segment.
And it all starts at the ballot box.
That's right, with Mr. James Butler, former civil rights attorney, candidate for DC mayor.
Yes.
Always my mayor, my brother, my personal friend.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Let's clap it up. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Blaq Rose, and thank you for having me. And Miss Angela Taylor, always good to see you all smiling faces again. And I really, I know you all mean this. No, I mean this from my heart. You're like family to me, and I'm just so comfortable being back here. But it's always a little bit troubling to me.
Every time you come here, we can't never be on good terms. We can never come here.
Every time I'm here, I'm talking about police misconduct.
Yeah.
You're off the country. I was thinking yesterday, 57 years since Dr. King spoke on the Mall in Washington. And the same fights that my father, my mother, my grandfather, my grandmother, and my greats were fighting, we are still fighting today.
But if you think about it, James, we really did not start fighting hard, if you will, until the 1950s.
You're right.
We did not get the Civil Rights and Voting Rights Act until the 1960s. So we're babies. We're under 100 years old.
And it's a young country, a country that disvalued the lives of Black people.
Exactly.
They weren't even considered full lives here.
Exactly.
And so, we've got people out there still talking about there is no systemic or institutional racism.
Oh,
right.
Literally denying the fact that systemic and institutional racism exists in this country.
Right.
This country was built on racism.
Absolutely.
We've got to tear the entire system down and start again.
Yeah, I mean, it's so invidious that systemic and institutional racism is so embedded that we've got people, half the population, don't believe it exists. And I believe some of them legitimately do not believe that it exists. But it exists in nearly every facet of this country.
It absolutely does.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you needed any evidence of that, you only look toward the protests in Kenosha, Wisconsin, where the peaceful protesters were handling their business. The, Boogaloo Boys came in. Yes. I didn't say it, the FBI said it.
Right.
And started burning and looting and that kind of thing. Then followed it up with Kyle Rittenhouse, who, 17-year-old, and I think you're the one that told me you had to be 18 on the gun in Wisconsin.
Yeah, you have to be 18. I made the phone call, and like I have, I want to just say this. Like I put a post up, the other day. Racism is so American that when we protest it, people think you're protesting America.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy that Kaepernick takes a knee to kneel about police brutality, and it was really prescient what he did some years ago, and he lost a lot. He sacrificed a lot to do that. But people talked about how un-American it was for him.
Who started that
flag,
narrative?
that flag and our military? What did it ever have to do with the flag? What did it ever have to do with our military? Him taking a knee when he's saying that police misconduct and brutality should stop. Him basically saying that Black people in America want to be on the same playing field, level field with everyone else. Not be killed for being Black. Not be beaten for being Black.
I was reading some of the comments, yesterday from, the 57th anniversary of the March on Washington, and some of the comments that people had to say. Like I said, they're throwing up Trump. This is not even about Trump.
This is not even about Trump.
Trump didn't start racism.
No, he did not.
Racism existed long before Donald Trump.
Exactly. I mean, he keeps it going.
He's a master of opportunity.
He mutates it. You know what I'm saying? He festers it. It's a lot of things that I can say, but he didn't start it.
Absolutely.
But again, repetition is the mother of all learning. That is something that he learned and he has mastered. If you say something to folks who do not take the time to inform themselves.
Right.
Absolutely. You keep saying it, they're going to start believing it.
They're going to start believing it.
That's absolutely
okay, with everything that has been going on, I know that you are a civil rights attorney, former civil rights attorney. There's been a lot of things going on, this police brutality. In the past 5 years, we have lost over 5,000 people who have been murdered by the police. Just this year, in these 8 months, we are at 875 people have been murdered by the police. Last year, 1,109 people were murdered by the police. What is your take on this?
Well, my take is I'm as maybe less alarmed than everyone else, because I've been in the trenches in this field for a number of years, and I've actually this might shock some of our listeners, and to all of our listeners, thank you for having me once again, and my listeners via Facebook and so on. Thank you for joining me. This is going to shock a few people by me saying this. I think we've made a lot of progress. Yeah. And I'll tell you why. I remember the days, 10, 15 years ago when you'd argue these cases in federal court well before cell phone cameras and, video footage was in wide use. And you would have someone that was shot by the police or killed by the police. These predominantly, I hate to say it, but these are the facts, predominantly white jurors wouldn't believe your story. They would believe the police officers over the person that was shot. Right. Because, the lawyer, defending the police officer would oftentimes argue that these people had criminal past and so on. And then that was all that mattered to these jurors. But you know what? Whether someone's got any kind of past, them doing something during a traffic stop or whatever doesn't call for them to be shot in the back or, beaten or, their neck, knelt on until their life is sapped out of them. Right. So these are the things. I think it has gotten better, but there's still a whole heck of a lot more work we've got to do. We have got to get every white person in America, and I really mean this, to say, hey, we're not going to tolerate this anymore. We're going to have to give up something, because the only way to really eviscerate this institutional and structural racism that pervades police departments, for example, the police department where George Floyd was killed. That police department had a policy that you were permitted to kneel on a neck. Right. And tell me that
kneel on a back or kneel on a neck?
Kneel on a back and a neck.
And a neck. Yeah.
So the reality is this: that policy at its heart is racist, when you know that the numbers of people that are being stopped by the police and are restrained by the police are disproportionately black. Right. So at the heart of that very policy, and we can even go into a deeper discussion with regards to how lopsided our criminal justice system is in this country, where it has been become very lopsided based on systemic and institutional racism. So that departmental policy would have never existed had there been someone that looked like you and I that could have stepped in and said, hey, this policy at its heart, at its core, disproportionately affects black and brown people. Therefore, it is a racist policy. It should have been gone years ago. But this is the uphill battle I see when I you're talking about these vast numbers of people being killed by the police. Even though, because we have cameras now, it's better. But I still see excuses being made when there are cameras. We even know when you walk in someone's home, Botham Jean, and we have to say enough is enough, because when we start forgiving everyone for everything, then what that does is it creates an expectation that this is permissible. No, when behavior happens like this, you teach people how to treat you. And black people, brown people, minorities, whatever you are, you will teach people how to treat you.
Exactly. And if I can just interject something, because I noticed that you said you have white juries in a lot of these places.
Right.
The jury pool, folk, is picked from registered
voters. You must register to vote. And I'm yelling now, and I don't do that frequently.
That's it.
Vote like your life depended upon it.
Or register so when somebody comes in the courtroom, they can see somebody that looks like them sitting in the box making the judgment.
Absolutely.
Also, another thing, too, that I just learned, and I'm saying I just learned this within the past 10 years, that everybody in the United States has the first 10 amendments is the Bill of Rights. Policemen have 2 bills of rights. I know they have 2 Bill of Rights.
Absolutely.
The law enforcement officer's Bill of Rights. That's got to change. This qualified immunity. That's got to go.
You know where the police officer's Bill of Rights started in the United States?
No, where?
It started in 1973 in the state that we're sitting in right now.
Whoa.
The state of Maryland.
Wow.
Absolutely.
I didn't know that. I know they had one, but I didn't know that's where it started.
Absolutely. And I
a lot of stuff started in Maryland. Harriet Tubman started in Maryland.
Right.
Yes,
absolutely.
Josiah Henson.
Yeah. Maryland is a really popular state, but it's one of the older states too. So Maryland, Virginia, and so on. But at any rate, those are things. I mean, I remember talking to the late Johnny Cochran shortly, and I had a conversation with him shortly after he tried the OJ trial. And there's something that trial lawyers do when they begin to try a case. You can do what is known as preemptory challenges. That means exclude certain prospective jurors for any or no reason during the voir dire process.
Right.
And sometimes if you know your case is maybe a race-related case and you see someone that you believe based on your perception might not be a good fit for that type of case.
Jury.
And you can stack it in a way. And I remember him telling me distinctly, and this was I was just finishing undergrad prior to law school at that time, but it was even before because he said he knew what the verdict would be. He says, he really chose black women that were middle-aged that he thought would be empathetic to O.J. Simpson. Right. And I mean, it may not be a perfect example,
but it's a good strategy.
But a good strategy. And I'll use this as an example. If you can't have a pool of prospective jurors when a white police officer is being charged with shooting a black victim, and then that pool is all white, and you can't expect it to be 100% fair.
Exactly.
I mean, I just don't believe that is a jury of your peers.
It's not.
I'm sorry. And so I know people will argue with me, but please know my history in having done these, that I've done civil rights cases for, and these can all be verified for a white CEO of BP. That's the big BP corporation. I've also done one for a police misconduct case for a blonde white woman. So I mean, civil rights goes any way.
Exactly.
Obviously, it goes more the way of people who are a minority in this country. We don't have the power, so we fall victim frequently to the misuse and abuse of power. So I hope no one accuses me of race baiting. I know I've been accused online of various things, and I'm okay with that. I understand you've got to have thick skin, especially when you're in the political arena.
Oh, my God. I've been told like this. It's like this. You ain't doing shit right if you ain't talked about and hated on them.
If people ain't attacking you,
if they ain't attacking you ain't doing nothing right. I go through that on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And I sat like last night, yesterday for instance, I sat in my house yesterday and I sat in my room, and I never go through my friends list, right? I've been going through it, erasing certain people.
That's it.
But I'm talking about like really zoom into who my friends are and why they're there. Yesterday, Ooh,
Sometimes you gotta do that. Yeah.
Sometimes you have to do that, and I found out so many different things. Yeah, I found out so many different things. You know, like you understand why people like I said, I got a whole fan club. Okay. And I'm going to just leave it like that.
Well, here's the thing. I often say, and I will preach this until I go to my grave. Every 90 days, you got to do a friendship audit. People are either adding value to your life or they're not.
Yeah.
If they're not adding value to my life, then even though I'm in a lot of political groups online, because I put out this Josiah Henson, because they were calling... Tim Scott and Herschel Walker and the little black Democrat down in Georgia, they were calling them Uncle Toms. And I put out, don't sully Uncle Tom's name. Uncle Tom was a good guy.
Right. Yeah.
And we
didn't know what the Uncle Tom is. I stopped using Uncle Tom and used Coon.
Yeah, courage and bravery. He was an escaped slave, and he helped other people too. But because we don't know our history, which is a big reason I did the Black History game, and I'm going to get that published. I just decided that just this minute. Because we don't know our history, we are preaching revisionist history, and we're teaching revisionist history to our kids. So not only are we already dumbed down, we're dummying them down. Exactly. We got to stop taking people's words for stuff and get the information ourselves.
Exactly. You better.
Okay.
You better.
Need another sip of my wine. I'm so upset.
I'm actually, as my viewers know, I don't drink wine, so I'm abstaining, and we're not having communion here. So that's the only time.
I mean, how do you feel with all of this stuff going on? Like, what is your take on this?
You know, it's concerning to me, but I'm steadfast. I'm unmovable. I believe that, and I don't want to be trite in saying this, but I believe now is our time in history that we will overcome it.
Yeah.
Before we just said it, but I believe now the pendulum of time has changed and moved, and I believe we're going to see literally history shift in a way that it has never.
Because you said we have made progress. What we need,
HR departments are infiltrated with black people to hire more black people. That is the way you end structural and systemic racism.
Exactly.
And I'll tell you what, if you want to understand how we as black people and brown people can level out the playing field, I'm not talking about being better than white people or having more. I'm talking about equality here, folks. Equality. That's simple. It's we're not asking for a whole lot, just equality. And you know how we can do it? We can do it with our dollars.
Right.
If these corporations, I promise you, if these corporations,
y'all better take some notes and share this.
Yes. Papa John's.
Absolutely. No problem, Miss Taylor. All of them.
Hey, Chris.
Shut them down.
We can shut them down. I mean, we got to do it more than one day. We got to do it more than every other Tuesday or every second Tuesday of the month or whatever.
Every day, because there's someplace else you can go.
Every day, there's always someplace. If people aren't respecting your dollar, shut them down. There are certain types of restaurants, and I won't say the ethnic group of restaurants that I don't patronize because I don't think they treat me right when I go in there.
Right, exactly.
Their food is good, but I don't think my experience has been that 90+% of those types of restaurants have treated me poorly.
Right.
Well, I will hold my dollar.
But more than that, I think what I did was I went to the Federal Elections Commission website. When I get a company or when I see something, I go and search the CEO. I read his credentials, his network, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Read his biography, his history, if you will. Then I go to the FEC website and see, where they put their dollars. And when I found out that Bernie Marcus gave Donald Trump and the Republicans $5 billion again, Home Depot can't get a dime.
Yeah, folks, you can find that stuff. It's public knowledge,
easy.
too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I really try to look at corporations, too, and where they put their money. Where also corporations do investments in other companies, and I also look to see what other companies they're investing in. So, yeah.
Because I know that, because when I said, talked about Papa John's, because I remember when he hosted that big thing for Mitt Romney and did it again for Trump.
Trump, yeah.
And
absolutely.
then, somebody said, well, Shaq has a Papa John's franchise. Shaq can keep his Papa John's franchise. Papa John's ain't getting my money because if I patronize Shaq, Papa gonna get a couple of pennies of that
Very
he can
minimal.
put to. I am not going to finance my own oppression.
Right. Exactly. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got a long ways to go, but I believe if we can really focus on this ending structural and institutional racism, we can effectively end police brutality that way. Police misconduct.
Let me ask you this. Give me your thoughts. Okay, Jacob Blaq. I saw the video.
What they're doing is a typical delay thing, him being 17 years old might, give him some leeway. I don't know what, I haven't looked at the local laws regarding that. But there's nothing. I mean, there's in America, of course, we've got this presumption of innocence, and even if
if you see him,
actually pull the trigger, there's still the presumption. So he can buy himself time, and then he can certainly open himself up to a plea agreement of some level, some sort. And that's probably what his lawyer's looking to do, buy time, open up a plea agreement. But when I talk about systemic racism and institutional racism, we saw what happened to Dylan Roof. When Dylan Roof went in.
Yes. Take another sip of wine.
They're taking more sips of wine.
Another bottle.
But when he went into Emmanuel Temple in Charleston, and if you all haven't seen the movie, take a look at it because it's one of the most riveting movies ever. I'm not a crier, and it put me in tears. It was probably the first movie in my life. I'm 45 years old, and that's ever put me in tears. And but I digress. He was allowed to eat after he was captured. Yeah. And he was treated.
They got him some KFC, racist ass chicken.
Yeah.
Got him a racist chicken box. You know what I'm saying?
It's just amazing how disproportionate treatment, even in the arrest phase of these people. Exactly. And then you have, Jacob Blaq, that. The police, there's 3 police officers. There are 3 mechanisms or 4 out there.
But shoot him in the back 7 times, though.
But there's also the non-lethal types of things. You could hit him with a baton.
Take his ass down. Because, see, this is my thing. This is my thing, okay?
Right.
Now, and I'm just speaking realistic because I had my fascinations of being a police officer. I have to put myself.
Good police officer.
I had my fascinations of being a police officer. I have to put myself in that situation now, but also in the situation of Jacob Blaq. I'm being Jacob Blaq right now. Okay, there's no way in the world that I would have kept walking, knowing in the day and times that we're living in right now, and it's a shame. We could say systematic racism. We could say police. We could say all of that stuff. But we know what's going on.
Yeah,
we know how we are treated.
I long for the day when he'd be able to do the same thing that a white guy similarly situated would be allowed to do. I don't disagree with you.
Yeah,
exactly. But I long for that day.
But that's not the time of day we living in.
Right, I agree.
We got to get to that point, and we're fighting every day and protesting and fighting and protesting and some more. But we're not there yet.
You use very
and
poor
you already
judgment.
know. You use very poor. Yeah, you use poor judgment because you already know you have as a black man,
you got a target on you.
You got a target on your back.
My parents taught us that from a little boy.
Again. You had 3 police officers,
non-lethal,
who could have, I don't know the technical term, they could have grabbed him and wrestled him to the ground.
Yeah.
3 on 1. They could have done that.
They could have
But their
used poor judgment
mentality,
as well.
yeah, they did. That's what I'm saying. They used very poor judgment as being law enforcement agency. But what I'm saying is, we already know how they're going to curry us.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I know
I don't disagree.
I know they use poor judgment, everything, but we already know how they're going to curry us.
I
I got a black son, 31 years old, and I tell him every time he leave the house, I'm saying to my baby, and I'm praying, God forbid, if you get pulled over by the police.
We put our hands on the steering wheel. We say yes, sir, no, sir. We follow the direction. And we still get
and it still happens. I've seen it before. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what I do. I put my hand on the dashboard.
Yeah.
And they looking at me like they just as scared as me when I do that, because they already know what time frame of mind I'm in.
Right. Right.
And I'm not going to say that every single time that a person gets pulled over, they're going to run into some people, some cops that's scared of how you react. I don't give them no hand. I don't give them no hand job, none of that shit. I just put my hands, I simply put my hands on the dashboard.
Right.
And they're looking at me and scared. They're more intimidated by me doing that because they already know what mind frame I'm in.
Fernando Castillo.
Yeah.
He did it, and he still got, and that was the name I was trying to think of.
Yeah.
But I will say this also. Education and life experience has a lot to do. You know, you take a guy that's 20, he's raised in an urban area, and he might not have had the fortunate upbringing that you had a mom and dad in the house.
Right.
I had a mom in the house.
Okay, my apologies. Yeah, but
I mean, later on at 17 years old, I had a dad. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, as a young, and I grew up in Southeast Berry Farms.
But fortunately, you have some life experience that taught you that. My thing the broader point I'm making is not everyone has that.
Right.
And some people, they have this life experience that doesn't tell them to be as orderly. And despite all of that, it doesn't warrant. And I know you're not justifying it. I understand that.
All right.
We need to get to a place where when these white police officers see a black man, that he's permitted to make it home.
And see, that's what I wanted you to say right there. We need to be treated just like if they pulled the white person over.
Exactly.
Just the same way. I mean, and I'm not even, I'm going to get off of the white person, black person shit, and I'm going to talk about a human being.
Equality. And that's
a human being. We have to be treated as human beings.
That's absolutely right.
And that's what Black Lives Matter is about. Not saying that, you know, if you white or Chinese or whatever color you are, ain't nobody never said your life didn't matter. But we are so
our lives matter too.
Yes, absolutely.
Disproportionately. We need to remind you every day we matter too. So stop it.
Stop it.
Absolutely.
Circumstances do not change by themselves, people.
Yeah.
Being in the midst of a revolution and seeing everything that's going on, because we are in the midst of a revolution.
We are.
Whether people want to realize it or not, or believe it, or even take part in it. And we all have a part to play in this revolution. What do you think that we need to do as black folks, okay, as black people, as the minority, to be able to participate?
I'll tell you. I think the answer is a lot easier than people believe it is. I don't think there should be a single black person of power should devote.
Repeat that one more time.
I believe that every single black person of political and financial
has
power
a platform
and has a platform where people will listen should devote 30% of their time to issues of social injustice. Whether they are, I'm talking, you know, we have Cam Newton walks into a store and buys one of his scarves, and he goes to a black-owned business. He says, tags it on social media, and he tells that person how he can help them. social injustice.
That's
and he
why I
talks
love
about
LeBron.
the power of going. And I'm a big,
I love LeBron.
you know, I'm from Cleveland too, so I'm a little bit biased there.
Well, no, for somebody who has not had the, the social experience that he's had, you know, high school straight to the leg. That brother is probably the most conscious one.
He's sharp too. Yeah.
And I don't know
Major Tillman says we vote with our feet, and he also said that
hey Major,
you cannot expect a behavior from someone who has not been taught that behavior.
Don't get moments in history back. We have to seize it right now, where we hold every single one accountable to talk about it, to lift their voices up, to raise up their social media status and profile, to say that every single one of us are going to object to what's happening in America.
Right.
To Americans.
Is not a spectator sport.
And you know what? It's hard.
Get in the game.
Democracy's hard, folks. And you've got to fight for freedom.
That's it.
Freedom is part of our democracy, and we've got to fight for it. But I'm telling you, if we don't hold every single one accountable, there's no being silent and sitting on the sidelines.
No,
you
sitting
can't
on the
be
sidelines.
sitting on the sidelines. If someone is giving you a dozen roses and you don't think it's time for you to speak out, and you're Herschel Walker or whomever, or you know, you can do that.
Sip of wine.
We don't need your voice, but if you are someone that calls yourself social conscious and you've got a platform, you've got the social or the economics, and you've got the political power, you had better talk about these issues, because now is no better time in history to seize the moment. And if we can hold them accountable, I believe this revolution of change can be the most effective one we've seen in the last 200 years.
This is a different time. It is something. Oh God, I just lost it that quickly. Doggone it. Oh, Kanye West has admittedly said that he's getting in the election to pull votes from Biden. Trump's people are helping him get on the ballot just in battleground states. Can he, as an attorney, can he be brought up on charges of election fraud?
Trump?
No. Kanye West.
Yeah.
Well,
because he don't want to be no president.
You know, I also think we have to go into mental state. I don't know that
he's fucked up in the head.
And
anybody who is even considering. You know, and I know it's some people out there considering, because, like I said, people been talking out of their asses here lately from up and down my timeline. Like the people that's talk about not voting and all of this stuff. Like they really don't have a clue.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're right. I think we got to discount what Kanye says almost 100%. I don't believe that he's mentally healthy. I think his mental unhealth or situation has been corroborated by his wife. Yeah. I think to some extent he has certainly spoken about it himself in his apologies. So, I think, always the intent goes to the state of mind. Right. And I don't know that he's probably has the requisite state of mind to even be charged with something like that. But I think he has this delusion of grandeur and that he's so closely aligned with the president and the systems of power that he has a right to do a certain thing, And so I think he's beyond misguided. I think it's due to a mental defect.
Right. Okay, so let me ask you this question then.
Sure.
The folks who are helping him from the Trump campaign, can they be charged with election fraud? Or some degree of fraud?
Maybe not fraud in the sense that, he has a legitimate right to engage in the process. And if the process, and I'm just talking out loud about this, how I would rationalize it. And come to my conclusion. Well, I know some of it. A whole lot better than I do. Okay. That may be true, but, but I would say that if they're staying within the parameters of the system, they have a valid electorate that's has now made it his way to the ballot in a lawful way. There's no fraudulent signatures, those sorts of things.
There were in some states, but go ahead.
Well, if that's the case, then, that certainly raises some indicia that they might be able to charge those facilitating the process with fraud if those signatures are invalid. And they find out that they participated in those invalid signatures. We've had that case in D.C. in a mayoral race before.
Major said it is not fraud. He has admitted his intent.
What do you mean? Okay, he needs to call in.
Major, can you call in real quick? 301-477-2616.
Yeah, because I see it as fraud.
Yeah, someone can admit their intent and that not be their intent.
Yeah, but they went
to say, I'm going to do this for X, Y, Z.
But it's not what they
But that's truly not their intent.
But they admitted it in Wisconsin, and they did it, and he's on the ballot.
But you know what? If their intent is to defeat Joe Biden, that's not an unlawful intent of...
That's not an unlawful strategy. How are you going to work for two candidates? How are you going to do that?
I don't think anything's unlawful about it. It's certainly wrong. It's certainly unethical. But people frequently throughout the history of this country have had spoilers go in races to hurt another candidate. That's happened frequently. You know?
But use the spoilers that I know, as far as the history that I know. If a spoiler goes in, like what is what was Jill the one
Ross
from 2016? No, the one from 2016. The white
Jill
girl.
Stein.
Jill Stein, she was over in Russia with Putin and Flint. Okay, she had a whole separate machine, but that was her intent.
That was her intent, absolutely.
Yeah, that was her intent.
She was never charged. Now, if there is a classic case, I mean, we could say, hey, well, Jill Stein was certainly guilty of election fraud, and I'm not saying she is, just for those listening, so I can't get sued for defamation or anything like that. I'm just saying, if in fact that was her intent, that would certainly have been the garden variety case of an election form for fraudulent intent.
But she never admitted it. Well, like Kanye has admitted it. That's why I was asking.
Well, Kanye admitted that he'd like to see Joe Biden lose the election. You know, and so that could mean, hey, I want to win the election. I want to beat Joe Biden, or I want Trump. I want to see if I can take some votes from him, and then Trump may give me a job after that.
He has actually said that I'm only in this election to pull votes from Joe Biden, because I know I can get some millennials to vote for me.
I don't think that's illegal on its face.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that's election interference.
All right.
In a traditional sense. I think, and that's just me.
He's just talking to the stupid people that don't know no better. That's all.
Okay. Now,
that's all. That don't know no better. That don't vet. That don't, what I'm saying, do the things that we do.
And he may actually take some votes from Joe Biden.
Yeah.
I mean, as unfortunate as it sounds, he may actually be successful in doing that. Yeah.
But the only saving grace that I have is that the Republican Party, while Trump's popularity within the party is hovering around 85-90%, the party is getting smaller. So
it's getting smaller, which means less votes. Yeah. Now, but keep in mind, we haven't really been able to do a whole heck of a lot about the gerrymandering over the years. That still concerns me. And you know what? One thing that really bothers me about, and I'm not suggesting you're doing this, but that the media is doing right now is saying how much of a cushion Joe Biden has. For my listeners out there, Joe Biden doesn't have a cushion. What we need to do is get out and vote. Every last one of you. Your vote counts. It matters. And don't believe there's a cushion, because Donald Trump has a secret network of voters that are like sleeper cells. They will come out and vote.
Yeah, exactly. And because we're getting close to the 6 o'clock hour.
Blaq Rose Garden Community Radio. Who do I have on the line?
Yeah, this is Jerome Tillman. I want to help fertilize the
We have a caller?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the Major from El Paso, Texas.
The Major from El Paso. I've never met, but I've heard a lot about him.
Yes, indeed.
I hope it's all been good. I just want to add a little bit of seasoning to this intellectual meal that you guys are serving across the airways this afternoon. First, with respect to Kanye West, if you want to, or you give him any time, talent, or treasure, it will prove that your IQ is in free fall. He is making no tangible contribution to the quality of life for the citizens of the country. Mm-hmm. And any focus that we give him, again, it's going to be a waste of time. It's going to be a waste of talent. It's going to be a waste of treasure.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Sadly or unfortunately, stupidity, okay, is not a violation of election statute.
Folks, in case you didn't hear, he said,
just say it in the back, yeah. Say it for the people in the back, Major.
It does not disqualify you. Sadly, it does not. What many people might not know is you don't need a law degree to be a judge.
Wow.
If you are elected.
Really?
Yeah.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm. In order to qualify for public office, constitutionally, you need 3 basic criteria. And I use the acronym CAR. If you want to drive the political tractor, you need to have the CAR. The CAR is citizenship, age, and residency.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
There are no other constitutional qualifications that you are required to meet. That is why it is so important for us to make sure that we vet each candidate to determine their qualifications. And Ms. Angela, I like what you said. When you swim upstream to see where the dollars that show themselves on the street corners and in the shopping malls of America, you swim upstream to see where those dollars are being fed into the economic system, and then you make your decisions based on that. And oftentimes, too many of us don't do it. We drink water right from, and what we become content with oftentimes is to live behind the alibi or the excuse that I didn't know and nobody told me.
Right.
Right.
But you can take that tool out of anybody's toolkit by saying, where did you go to check?
Yep.
And too often, I'm going to say this and I'm going to pass the microphone back to your guest and to you two as the host, that it is incumbent upon each one of us, part of our citizenship responsibility. One of the things that Thomas Jefferson told us in the Declaration of Independence is, you must be in tune and aware of what your government does, and if you find that it is deficient, not only is it your duty, it is your responsibility to change or abolish that government as it exists.
Exactly.
It doesn't talk about
That's our job description.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes,
But it
indeed.
does talk about the specific obligation written into the Declaration of Independence. And people want to give you this alibi, well, I'm not responsible for that. Oh, yes, you are.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Barack Obama told us that the day before Trump was inaugurated. That was his parting words. The most important job you have in this country is that of U.S. citizen.
Yes, indeed.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Major, for calling in.
Major, thank you.
This is always a pleasure.
But if I get the urge and I get the invite, I'll be back.
Yeah, next week, as always, we already extended that olive branch for you to come out cold.
Yes.
And we been did it weeks ago, okay? So whenever you stop jogging and getting fit and pushing up and all of that stuff, because I see you, Major, looking like a 25-year-old and stuff like, you know, okay, then you tearing up the it, but that's another story. That's another show. Bye, Major. Love you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll be 2 minutes.
All right.
Oh, boy. Well, I was going to read folks up.
Y'all, look, no, we get ready to end this show, y'all. And we coming down. We're ticking down, okay?
It's 6 o'clock now.
Well, thank you to all my viewers coming in via Facebook Live.
We got 2 minutes.
Now, so.
Yeah. Oh God.
Not enough time.
Not enough time.
As always.
You know, but like I said, you know, I want y'all to catch this show. If you didn't get a chance to see it, I'm gonna be posting it all over the place, but it will be reran on Super Radio on Monday. Okay, from 5 to 7 p.m. So if you didn't get a chance to tune in and hear our sexy voices on the airway, you will get to hear it on Super TV. And it's very important, okay? Thank you so much.
And as always, we take you out. We bring you in with something positive. We take you out with something positive. At Blaq Rose's Garden, we want you to count your blessings instead of your crosses, to count your gains instead of your losses, to count your joys instead of your woes, to count your friends, folks, instead of your foes, to count your smiles instead of your tears, to count your courage instead of your fears, to count your full years instead of your lean, to count your kind deeds, folks, instead of your mean, to count your health instead of your wealth, and by all means, count on God instead of yourself. This is 821.
And Blaq Rose, and thank you so much, James Butler.
Yeah, thank you, Blaq Rose and Angela Taylor, for having me.
I still want that job as your campaign manager.
Yes.
Tell everybody.
We love you.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Live. Thank you. We'll see you next week.
Right,
tune in to Super Radio on Mondays from 5 to 7 to catch the recap of this show.
And don't forget to make that contribution.
Yes.
We are here to educate, enlighten, and empower you. So, Blaq Rose, if you give them that Cash App information
Yes,
again,
the Cash App information is Blaq Rose. It's the $, Blaq Rose, BLAQROSE 2 at Cash App. So make a contribution.
PayPal too?
Yes, and PayPal. No, I ain't even using that no more. Okay. Yeah, I gotta change that. They won't let me. Okay. Thank y'all so much. Love y'all.
Send me the Cash App, and I'm going to put it on my page too. The Cash App. I'm going to put it on to my folks too. The Cash App.
Okay.
And send it out. Yeah. I was going to say right before you mentioned that, I'd like to meet next week, either in person or via Zoom, so we can talk about it. Okay. I talked it over with my mother this past weekend when I was home for her 77th.